Hi, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for downloading the audiobook. This is a true life story, although all the events are from my own point of view and memory. I didn't take any recordings of the consultations or conversations, so no speech is being directly quoted. I have also changed the names of all medical staff to ensure anonymity. This is a very special story, and I hope it connects with you as you come on this journey with me. Dedication. In loving memory of Rowena. For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through the endurance taught in the scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. It was a prayer meeting I will never forget, and in fact, it was the best one of my life. Months of praying for Beth and Paul through their dire diagnosis and courageous response culminated in an impromptu Zoom prayer meeting. We prayed for strength for Beth and the family, for hope against all hope, for life. We strained together, summoning all the grit and hope and faith we could muster to see God's purposes birthed in and through this family tragedy. We prayed for the skills of the doctors and ultimately the skill of the great physician himself, a God whose name is higher and strength is greater than disease and even death itself. I had one eye on the computer screen and another eye on my phone where prayer updates were being posted. My phone pinged, and I looked down at it and gasped. I will never forget that moment, that photo. We all dissolved into floods of tears. I first met Beth when I had just relocated to the UK. We took walks together as she shared her stories of life as a missionary in Cairo. At that time, I thought to myself, you've got to be gutsy and full of grit to be a single female missionary in Egypt. And she is. Gutsy, full of grit, full of grace. One of the most striking things about Beth's story is that she refused to let anyone write the narrative of her life. She strove to find herself in God's story, to allow God's word alone to define who she is and the nature of the story she was part of. Again and again, as people spoke words of death over the fruit of her womb, she looked to heaven. She understood that God alone is her chief orienting reality. She shared the conviction of Elizabeth, another woman in the scriptures, who experienced a miracle pregnancy and birth, that no word from God will ever fail. It's Luke chapter 1, verse 37. It takes a lot of courage to believe, really believe for the best, but at the same time plan for the worst. Beth's faith wasn't starry-eyed, dislocated from earthly realities. She looked death in the face, planned and prepared for it, but ultimately put her faith in the God who said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. This book is an essential resource and companion to those navigating perilous journeys. Beth shares her personal and painful story with vulnerability and courage. As a seasoned traveller in previously uncharted and perilous territory, she's now a wise and trustworthy guide, ultimately pointing us towards the God of all hope. Jill Webber, Global Convener of the Order of the Mustard Seed and author of Even the Sparrow. Chapter 1. Where it all began. 2nd of November 2021. There is an arrogance in continued good health. An assumption you'll always be well, old age permitting some frailty of course, and 2 straightforward pregnancies had given me a misplaced confidence that all would continue to be well. I was a stay-at-home mother of 2 preschoolers, Martha, who just turned 4, and Jamie, who was almost 2 years old. Having taught English abroad,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?